Our guest this episode is Norris Henderson, who has an incredible 5-decade story of fighting for the rights of formerly incarcerated people, including himself. It was during a life sentence in Angola prison where Norris began and co-founded the Angola Special Civics Project, which began a journey that led to his freedom and provides a story of hope in criminal justice reform. And he joins us from the new Vote office in New Orleans.
First of all, let me say thank you again so much, Mr. Norris Henderson, for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us for this time. I just want to personally say what an honor it is. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I am a big fan of Vote. I'm a big fan of you, Mr. Checo, and all of the work and the things that the amazing people at Vote are doing and are aspiring to do. And I am humbled to even be a part of what you guys are doing. I take part in one of your leadership trainings that's being held here in Baton Rouge by your contingent here. I want you to know that your people are committed to the vision of Vote, and it's a wonderful thing to work with them in the community. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm just absolutely happy. I'm a fan. I'm not going to gush too much. So again, thank you so much for being here. And we want to start by just really having you talk about yourself.
I think I can just take one of Checo's line, just a poor boy a long way from home, that was kind of like the story we would tell the folks when they would see us inside the prison. It was like, hey, I'm just a poor boy a long way from home. And so this journey of mine, this journey that I'm on, kind of like started here in New Orleans as I'm born and raised here in New Orleans. And I was either, if not the smartest kid in the classroom, maybe the smartest male. And so I've always had this yearning for learning, even in the community that I come out of, I would be in neighborhoods and I would have a book in my back pocket, so if I'm sitting in the project, I'm sitting down on the stairs reading the book. And it was kind of like, I guess in hindsight, looking back at it, I guess it was kind of, this kid's in the wrong place, and even so that even when I wind up in prison, and they give you these battery tests early on to kind of, I guess, to check your aptitude and stuff. And those folks would say the same thing. How did you wind up here? Nothing in your profile dictated that you should have wind up here. And I think prison for me was a bad experience with good results. And I say that because I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing today had it not been for that bad experience. And I'm saying bad experience, not in the sense that, people done me harm or nothing like that, but it became the eye opener in a sense of what this system was all about. It allowed me to really learn and study the law. And now, 30, 40 years later, I'm taking that very same knowledge and using it in a way that's educating our communities about what these systems were all about. And I tell people a lot that those on the cutting edge of change sometimes don't benefit from the change they bring about. Well, everybody knows I worked in the prison law library for better than 20 years, became really adept at the law. And so when I'm raising legal questions, folks can't question whether or not, do you know what he's talking about? And then when I talk about conditions inside those places, people can't say, oh, what he's talking about, he don't know. I do know, because I've been there. Front seat, third chair. And so I think that gives me the kind of like credibility in the sense that other people may or may not have when they're dealing with these types of issues. It's like our campaign around OPPRC, around the Orleans Parish Prison, was primarily these voices of folks who have been inside could tell the story more than the academicians, because they were in theory. We were about, no, this is our life experience. And so I think this has been that catalyst for us being successful, that our life experiences are starting to pay dividends in a different way. This system, and I tell people all the time, it's not broke. This system is designed to do just what it's doing. The thing is, our job has become highlighting what that crisis is, shifting the frame, and offering a solution. I should tell folks all the time who would come visit the prison, I used to ask them, why are you here? Are you here because your faith teaches you to have you visit the people in prison? Or are you actually here to actually help us? I say, okay, help is not what you want to give me. Help is what I need. And I think that is the biggest piece of it, is that a lot of folks circle the wagon like, I'm here to help you. But if you're not willing to do what I need you to do, you're not here to help. Because in life, there's going to be three types of people you encounter. They're going to be aides, they're going to be allies, they're going to be associates. When you find somebody that's all three, that person becomes your friend. And so when you're encountering people, you have to really be sincere with people about how they show up.
You about to make me shout up in here. Let me tell you something. That's what people fighting in the system have to realize, that the things that we have gone through, that we haven't gone through them for ourselves or to show how strong we are, but because God could trust us to use that experience to further.
Exactly. And that's the perfect segue, because I tell people that all the time. It's like, there's nothing special about me. And the same thing, these trials and tribulations that we go through is just to test our mettle. I remember a judge out of Baton Rouge, Judge Robert Downing. He had came to one of our LIPA meetings and was given a speech. And he would say one of the things he never prayed for was patience. And I was like, uh-oh, because my Islamic attribute, sabur, means patient. And so when he said that, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm going to sit up straight in the chair. Now I got to hear this. He said, because with patience comes trials and tribulations. And in that moment, my whole life started passing in front of me, And it was like, at 2 years old, my mom died. At 13 years old, my mom's only brother died. Then my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, before I was 14, she died. So one whole side, my whole maternal side of my family was gone, was completely gone. Fast forward, I grow up, become a young man, have kids of my own. 3 years before I get out of prison, my son get murdered. The second year before I get out of prison, my paternal grandmother died. Almost 1 year to the date that I get out, my dad dies. Just because you say you believe don't mean you want to be tested. But I guess God realized then, and the whole while I was inside, I helped create a hospice program, to deal with death and dying and how to adjust it. One of the things that I remember one of the trainers told me was that after I shared that, I said, man, you've experienced a lot of death. And then to cap it off with, I'm born on November the 1st, which is All Saints Day in Louisiana. And so most of my birthdays were visiting the cemetery. And I never could understand it as a kid. Why me, Not knowing that there's a bigger plan for you somewhere down the line, but I need to be able to rely on you when things get rough. The work that we're doing, why I've been kind of like blessed to do this work, then people kind of like start connecting the dots. Oh, I see. You just went off to training and now you're back and now you're sharing the training. Because I tell people all the time, I don't think God blessed me with all of this knowledge about this particular system to keep to myself. All of it goes back to the formidable education I had as a kid, that when I got to the prison, because of the skill sets I had, I'm a machinist by trade. And so I didn't have to work in the field for long. I had to do my little 90 days in the field, but the people realized, oh, he got real skills. I got a job working out of the fields, working in the machine shop. And then when the guys go into the law library every day trying to figure out how to get myself out, they had a law class. The guy introduced me to it, and they give you a little battery test. And when I took the test, the guy was like, "Oh, you don't need to be in a class. You need to be helping us teach the class." The law literally became my wheelhouse. And so I have taken all of that and the blessings that came along with them and helped build this organization. Because one of the things that really motivated me was I just couldn't understand for the life of me how somebody could be in prison with you, sleep next to you for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, get out, and forget you even existed. I just couldn't figure that piece out. I asked God that if He ever blessed me to get out this place, one, I wouldn't forget where I came from, nor would I forget the people I left behind. And so in 2003, when I got out, literally a year from the day I got out, I actually founded the organization Vote, which was actually created while we was inside, praying that somebody get out and carry the mantle. And then it fell on me.
Well, you mentioned the word patience, and if there's a picture of it, a better picture, but I don't know where to find it. But you also mentioned the word frame there. And so I wanted to frame your 5 decades, because you did start to date yourself there with the mention of how the schools were. But to frame it over these 5 decades that you've done this work, I'm sorry for saying 5 decades. That sounds like a lot.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Between when you started this work, how Vote came to be, and this moment that we're in now.
Matter of fact, as we're talking, I actually have a copy, and this is what we actually drafted, was an analysis, penal reform in Louisiana, the need for immediate change. And this was done in 1987. And so 30 years before the Justice Reinvestment Act came along in 2017, we had already created this proposal to analyze parole laws governing long terms and life. And so I think we were kind of like the cart before the horse back then. But still, we don't have the luxury to quit. We can't give up. And so we just kept toiling and struggle, toiling and struggle, toiling and struggle. But what it started doing was just sharpening our tools. You know, we just kind of like start learning how this system works, how the legislative process works, what we needed to do on that. So by the time I got out, I hit the ground running. I literally hit the ground running, knew exactly what I needed to do, didn't know all the people I needed to meet, but I knew exactly what needed to get done and had to build a core of people to try to make it happen. Over those decades, that's what it was, incrementally getting this little thing done, getting this done. But the reality that while we were inside, we got a bill passed. We're outside now. We should sure enough be able to get something done because we can show up ourselves, tell our story, and get people to listen. And so in 2017, everything came to a crescendo. We were able to go in the legislature ourselves and start telling our story. You know what? I was that lifer who done this. I was that lifer who wrote this. I can explain to you how we got into the situation that we're in. And they were all ears. And so we were there and able to provide the institutional knowledge how Louisiana became the #1 incarcerator in the world. And then there were folks who were there saying, oh, we need to lose that distinction. I said, well, I'm all in. And they were echoing, I'm all in too. I'm like, oh, okay, we own something now. It was miraculously that we got 10 criminal justice pieces of legislation done in that session in a bipartisan way. And people all across the country kind of like just started sitting up straight and said, wait a minute, this is a red state. And they got all this criminal justice reform done. What happened? It took us 30 years to get where we had gotten, but we had arrived. One of the other things about being in the position that we were in, we were able to identify everything that was wrong with this system. So in 18, when it was talking about 2018, we was talking about non-unanimous jury verdicts. We were like, I had one of them and I went to prison and I shouldn't have. And so when people start telling real stories, it was easy for us to go knock on people's door when we were canvassing and explain to people what the non-unanimous jury verdict was, and people saying, that's what my son was talking about. That's what my daughter was talking about. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And so this last legislative session had 5 pieces of legislation. 4 out the 5, the governor signed them into law. One of them was the expanded voting rights for folks that's on probation. Allow former incarcerated people to now be able to serve on a jury. They have the 2045 law that I talked about, we got passed in 1990, that they repealed in 97. Well, this year, we got it reinstated and made it retroactive all the way back. And so 3,000 people became immediately eligible for parole release. And then the last one is the collateral consequences, that a judge now, before they sentence you to prison, have to advise you that, oh, you know, if you're guilty, oh, that one, you may lose your right to vote. You may lose access to healthcare, access to education. But also now, too, is that because you have to have a unanimous jury verdict, DAs now are reluctant to kind of squeeze people because people are like, oh, take me to trial.
You know, and just hearing all of that, there's just the expanse, and it drove me back to you talking about, you know, culmination of work. How about this sheriff's race in New Orleans? For those of us who have lived our experience in the South and understand the dynamics of the quote unquote Southern sheriff and all of that goes along with that system and that dynamic. Can you speak a little bit about votes, participation, and how all of that victory kind of came about?
To add to that you know, Susan Hudson ran on a campaign that wasn't more of the same, but with a different. We're not gonna expand those beds. We're gonna get rid of those phone calls. It wasn't just pick someone else. What was remarkable about it to me was that we're gonna stop doing this stuff.
And I think the thing too is the groundwork had been laid for years from OPPRC, complained about all the atrocities that happened in the jail and stuff like that. And it was like, you know, people was like, okay, that's it. We didn't have enough. Well, you know, here's the tragic thing about this city, the state, is that everybody has been touched by the criminal justice system, either directly or vicariously. And so when you're knocking on doors, somebody in that household has been impacted. They want change. They want people to be treated as human beings. Yeah, you've done something that may have been outside of the societal norms, and you're going to be, that corrective behavior conversation has to happen, but we can do it a lot better. People heard the message that I will not support building additional beds. I want to treat people like our neighbors. They're our neighbors who just happen to be in our custody now. And so that message actually resonated around what direction this community is going in, but it also signals, oh, we can do this, we can replicate this. We can put this show on the road because people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so that was kind of like one of the biggest political stories of the year was the sheriff race here in New Orleans. But like I said, again, I don't think our job is done just here in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I think I got tacit permission there from Norris Henderson to be cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. Yeah, we all should.
Got to be cautiously optimistic, yes, because you know there are forces out there that don't want us to succeed. There are forces out there that wants to keep the status quo, and we have to be able to educate our folks about that. That this is what I'm saying. One of the mistakes that other campaign made is when you started vilifying us and you claiming about re-entry and rehabilitation, and you're throwing books at people who the face of all these things, and folks are like, no, those tricks are not going to work. And so I think what this does too is give us leverage in the sense of how we approach the table now. It's like, we're not just somebody being invited to dinner. You know what? We can prepare the meal.
That's right.
We can prepare the meal. So I'm excited about what the future, holds for us moving forward, and what it looks like here in the state of Louisiana. And, me and Chico was right after the election, me and Chico was just laughing, and Chico was saying, how God say, you make your enemy your footstool, and so, my feet been off the ground for a couple of days.
That's a great picture to see, to visualize that there, because there are some amazing things that Vote is actually up to now in New Orleans. It's amazing what the newness, the groundbreaking services and the things that are going to be able to provide it for the community.
We've actually been in the building. It's not like the building is all pristine. I mean, they got dirt all on the floor and stuff like that. but it's to kind of like let people in the community know that we're here and that we're here to stay, that this is a part of the community and this belongs to the community. And so, my faith teaches me that try to leave something behind. And so we got a building so that the day tomorrow that we're no longer around, that people can pass and see, oh man, a lot of good works come out of this building. And so it's just to celebrate how far we've come, but at the same time, how far we have to go. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I'm looking for out of it, and to appreciate people who've been on this journey with us. We didn't get here by ourselves. And to see, 15 years later, how this have all manifested into where we at. So it's kind of like this celebratory thing about, come on, let's celebrate us. We've done something. If we die tomorrow, the world at least know we was here. And so demonstrating that from whence we came, being in a hopeless situation, that we celebrated that hope that one day, we can make this happen. Redemption for folks redeeming themselves and for their families and their community, and empowerment, man, how we have kind of like empowered people to stand on their own 2 feet and represent the community that they come from. Because being a part of something and belonging is 2 different things. Yeah. And so that empowerment makes them a part of it and makes them belong, You
don't have to reinvent the wheel. What you have to do is be involved in what is going on,
That's it. And believe that you can make it happen. You got to believe that you can make it happen. If you go into a situation thinking, woe with me, it's like Henderson sheep salt. And I said in this way that I'm willing to fight one day longer than you.
Amen.
And so I change, you change the dynamics with that, because you make that person start wondering, like, wait a minute, when is he going to get tired? I'm not going to get tired. I might be tired right now. I'm not going to let you know I'm tired. I'm going to be like Ali sitting in that corner across the ring from Frazier. He was like, I don't know if I can get up out of this seat. But if Joe get up, I'm going to get up.
That's right.
So when Joe didn't get up, he was like, in his heart, he was like, I'm willing to fight one more round. But Joe wasn't willing to fight one more round. And so, that you got to be willing to fight one day longer than them. And when you commit to fight one day longer than them, you're going to always win.
Amen. Well, Mr. Norris, I really appreciate your time.
Day in and day out, the community that you've built and the services that you're providing are such a contrast to what that other building,
exactly,
the Orleans Parish Prison.
And I tell people all the time,
I would say isn't providing people, because it's not providing anything, right? But having those 2 buildings side by side and showing a different way is so exciting for us to show too.
Right.
Well, again, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Norris Henderson, for sharing so much wisdom and so much history and inspiration. It means so much to hear the wisdom of those who have come before us and who have done so much to make what we are doing a little bit easier. But from the bottom of my heart, we just want to thank you. Thank you so much. Amen.
You can always
Amen.
win, you know?
Amen. I know that for such a time as this, right? That's what I live on. Because I just feel like it's about to just break through. It's about to break through. Amen. Well, again, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Norris Henderson, for sharing so much wisdom and so much history and inspiration. It means so much to hear the wisdom of those who have come before us and who have done so much to make what we are doing a little bit easier. Thank you so much for giving of your time.
Norris Henderson is the founder and executive director of Vote NOLA, Voices of the Experienced. You can see a video of the ribbon cutting that Linda and I were able to attend at the new Vote building in New Orleans on the Fair Fight website. Look in the links we mentioned section of the podcast. That's fairfightinitiative.org.